Hello?
Hello.
Wait, hold on. Something's going on here. Hold on. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Let me come out and come back in.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi. You
Oh,
sounded
God.
okay before.
Oh, now I don't sound good?
No, you still sound good, but you kind of sounded. Anyway, you've got your new website, your new blog.
Yeah, it only has two things on it right now, but it's up and running. So, um obviously everyone knows I turned against Hinduism. I've made that a big thing, but I've really dealt a lot with the fact that monotheism and the Noahide laws and God can't take shape and those different kinds of things, plus their connections with Judaism politically, and plus just their horrible culture and superstition and all this other kind of stuff. But there was something else that came up. So, I mean, people know that I talk about Christian Science a lot and that it's something I think about a lot. And the thing is that I found these two essays by these two Hindu gurus making it clear that Christian Science and Hinduism are kind of linked. And actually, Mary Baker Eddy quoted Hindu scripture in her book Science and Health until the 33rd edition, and people think that's because she got embarrassed and didn't want to look like a heathen. But
why are you interested in Christian Science?
Well, first I was interested in Christian Science because of its connection to Judeo-Freemasonry. And then I got more interested when I started reading about the abuse cases of children dying in Christian Science because they were medically neglected. And then that was like, well, why is that happening? It's because they don't believe physical reality is real and that it's all error and that you can basically think your way out of disease. And Hinduism says that it's not that matter's not real, but it's illusion and it's conditional. And what does the noumenal realm mean?
In what context? Actually, I'll look it up because I what my guess when you can
Noumenal realm.
divine will, God. Yeah.
Okay, they said it doesn't exist in the noumenal realm, but it's conditional, whatever this means. See, these are words, they use these words that might not even mean anything. Basically, what I think they're saying now, I want to know, this is making me think deeper about Vedanta. So, does Vedanta say if you're not viewing something, it's not there? And if
Don't
that's
know
so,
anything about that. But this seems to be the kind of religion that says don't go ignore conventional medicine. That seems to be what they are saying. Would
yes,
you say? Yes.
yes.
So
Yeah.
basically, Vedanta, in case of for people who don't know these words, or is also known as Uttara Mimamsa, is one of the 6 orthodox schools of Hindu philosophy. The word Vedanta means conclusion of the Vedas and encompasses the ideas emerged from or were aligned with the speculations and enumerations contained in the Upanishads, with a focus on knowledge and liberation. And what would you say are the Upanishads? They are the late Vedic and post-Vedic Sanskrit texts that document the transition from the archaic ritualism of the Veda into new religious ideas and institutions and the emergence of central religious concepts of Hinduism. Um, so it and it continues. Vedanta developed into many schools, all of which base their ideas on the authority of a common group of texts called the Prasthana Trayi, translated as the three sources, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita. Is that enough, or shall
Yeah,
I
that's enough.
continue
I have to
reading?
see. I have to get this stuff deeper down because I mean, I'm just Ludendorff is actually against Hinduism, and she said that it's superstition, and she said that reality is real, and it's really there, and it's not illusion.
We still don't know what she's really trying to do yet, do we?
I do. She's trying to make a scientific religion. I mean, it doesn't have an afterlife, so it's not going to attract everyone. But
So, what are its appeal? What is its appeal apart from its anti-Semitism?
um, well, she's trying to show you to believe in God that's uniform with science and won't get to your intellect, and also to keep you out of the acausal realm. Okay, like I had to get off that show with your friend because science is the author. Like it's just this the acausal. Science isn't a person. It can't be the author. Like science, the scientist is the author, and the book is the where you put all the science. But um well, let me just hold on. Let me open her up again and let me just look at what I wrote so far. I'm only on the third part of the book.
It's quite a bad translation, a bad English translation of the German, isn't it?
I don't know why.
Oh, I mean, I was reading something that you put on, that you posted, and I thought it was a bad English translation of the German because it was hard to read, basically.
Well, she says that superstitious doctrines lead to the loss of conviction and to God denial. So the acausal is illogical, causal is logical. Due to acausal insult to the intellect, people have become very sensitive to illogical statements. So that's why atheism spread so much, because people became really overly sensitive to something that sounds illogical.
Well, I mean, it's an understandable reaction to realizing that the Trinity was all nonsense.
Maybe.
And when the government no longer burnt heretics at the stake, people just said it more and more, and the disbelief spread, and the problem is still with us. Because the whole point of believing in an afterlife is that it stops us from it regulates our behavior in this life, because the idea that if we behave well in this life, we're going to get the eternal life. And whether if it's true or not, it's useful to society if people just basically held back on their atheism. I mean, that's the only reason. I mean, there are no metaphysical reasons, and obviously, if you wanted to construct a religion, you'd have to make it easy to believe, like not so that it isn't easily refutable. And of course, you wouldn't use the Trinity. Use natural law, in the sense of we are here because there was a creation, and because there was a creation, there must have been a creator, and um, we Jews and Muslims believe that creator to be God. And then you can have the next question, like, why can't it be, all these other kinds of God? And then the answer is, well, obviously, if you're going to worship a god, why would you bother worshipping anything less powerful than the Abrahamic God? And then the next question would be, well, how do you know if he exists? And then the answer to that would be, well, you can't prove he doesn't exist. And even if he doesn't exist, belief in him would have the effect of prolonging your civilization. So unless you are an unpatriotic, subversive, degenerate, we're going to behave as if we believe. And that's how the law is going to be. I mean, that would be the, arguments used.
Oh my god. Okay. um can you just give me 1 second?
Sure, I'll read the chat.
Uh,
Judah's just doing the con ops thing of saying nobody cares. Paddy Irishman is here. Welcome, welcome. And he says Vincent is basically right. Advaita Vedanta is non-dualistic and posits no distinction between our soul, Atman, and ultimate reality. Christian Science and others try to derive their precepts from it. And he continues, I prefer Dvaita. It's a school in Hinduism that posits that a trinity exists. So, Paddy, are you a Catholic then? You're certainly very knowledgeable about Vedanta.
He's Dvaita Vedanta, which he means two. So Advaita Vedanta means one. This is another way I want to attack Vedanta, is that there's different kinds. There's Advaita Vedanta, which means not two. And then there's Dvaita Vedanta, which means two. So Advaita Vedanta. I have to fucking learn all this. I don't want to learn all this shit. I got annoyed talking to him that I have to like go into this shit. This is why I'm telling you I wish I had just finished. I had just not gotten involved in religion and just became a scientist, because the thing is that I do feel as though I need to fight back against these things and nobody's doing it and I'm probably the only one. But at the same time, I'm wasting a lot of time by talking about nonsense. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
it's not nonsense if people, if lots of people argue about it, because then it becomes political. Now, would you like to sum up the arguments that you and Taylor were having? Because I didn't really get it. So maybe
he
you
was
want
trying
to.
to put words in my mouth, and he's trying to be like, Christianity is the reason for all the science that we have, and the reason science is slowing down is because we're not Christian anymore, and all.
Well, it's unprovable, but oh yes, I remember that. So I again say that philosophy and science are two different branches of learning, which is not to say that um, um, the religious sciences, i.e., I mean, you could say it's propaganda, even, can't you? You're saying you want to create a religion, that is easy to believe and easy to follow, and works to keep your group in existence and apart from others. I mean, this is how you would go about it if you wanted to create a religion, right?
It depends on what kind of religion you're on. Yes. I mean, under like modern circumstances, yes. Like, yes.
Yeah, because I mean, I've met a lot of white people on YouTube and elsewhere whose goal, it seems to be, is to create their own religion and push it on, you know, their group. And obviously, white nationalists are doing that because they hate Jews, so they're not going to adopt Judaism, and they think Christianity has stopped working, and they also hate Muslims, so they have to And maybe they don't think much of Hinduism and Buddhism, so they go back to their extinct ancestral gods, like people like Mark Brahmin and Jason Georgiani, and even Liam Jarrett. Yes, he wants to create a religion based on astrology. So, and you want to create a religion based on the beyondism of Raymond Cattell.
Well, I'm not creating. Well, I'm not. I didn't create that religion, so I didn't create my own. So I'm a little bit different.
Well, I'm sure. Well, what is this thing that you're talking about? The incest and the selective breeding and the surrogacy and the artificial wombs. You are actually proposing a social policy, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you are creating your own religion. Beyondism is, well, your religion.
Well, then by your extent, by that extent, you can also call secular Quranism a religion if you want to.
I will call it a moral system because, I mean, I'm going to say it's not a religion because it doesn't require anybody to change their beliefs. It's just saying you have to obey these laws, and I don't care if you stay a Muslim or don't stay a Muslim, or you don't believe in God or believe in God. I don't care as long as you obey the rules. And even if you deny the existence of God, even you, an atheist, can understand the nature and purpose of religion, because when you argue with atheists, they'll say, oh, it's just a form of thought control. And it's like, yes, of course it is. And people need to be controlled by the law. And even atheists wouldn't say, oh, we don't need the law to control our, murdering, stealing, sex offending instincts. So, um, the, so, um, so the atheist basically agrees that some kind of moral system is necessary. I mean, what they can't agree on, what people can't agree on, is which moral system to adopt. And I'm saying moral systems include religions as well as secular political ideologies such as liberalism, naturalism, and socialism, or your beyondism, or whatever might pop up. But
Yeah.
I'm saying establish, well, the five world religions have clearly been um, more successful at remaining in existence because of the five world religions that we know as the Abrahamic religions and the Eastern religions. I finished.
Um, Patty Irishman was talking about Advaita Vedanta, Dwaita, not Advaita. There's God, Jiva, Soul, and Jada, Maya, or matter. That's where I'm saying it's not Maya. I'm saying that this reality is real, and it would exist whether there were animals or life. If there was no life on this planet, it would still all be here, and it would all look the same.
Hmm. Okay, that's a bit esoteric for me. I'm not of the school of thought of this world is a dream kind of thing.
No, neither am I. Neither am I. That's what I'm
Mhm.
fighting against, and what Ludendorff fought against, and she was against the Hinduization of the West.
Was there any danger of it?
It was,
I mean, what did she
yeah,
fear about?
of course, it was all over Germany. Well, I mean, the Theosophists were stealing it. Everyone was stealing it bit by bit, and yes, it was a problem. It was next to occultism. It was coming in.
And what were its practices, would you say?
I don't think it had practices. It had beliefs.
Okay. And what were these beliefs that are so disliked by her?
That matter doesn't really exist, and that it's an illusion.
Hmm. But in a way, it doesn't matter. I see that some people say, oh, this life is but a dream, and then the real existence begins when we wake up. on the other side of this life, kind of thing. And I'm saying, it doesn't matter whether it's a dream or not a dream. We have been, given a few ideas about how to lead our lives, such as being able to distinguish between good and evil in order to get to the better place in the afterlife. And I think for most people, it satisfies their desire for justice. Don't you think?
One more time.
Because A, it deals with their fear of death, and B, it will satisfy their desire for justice. Because if you buy into the system, you will think that the good will be rewarded and the evil punished in the next life, if not this life. So people who have been comforted that by this belief system that they choose to adopt will go through life without as much anxiety as an atheist.
No, they won't. Yeah, no, definitely religion helps you. But so does positive thinking. So does the fucking Edward. One of Trump's one of the reasons he credits his success to is not Edward, Vincent Norman Peale, because of these stupid fucking affirmations that he says every day. God loves me. I'm a child of God. Nothing can hurt me. Everything's going to turn out fine. And he even said in his memoirs that he wouldn't have been able to get through the period when he was $1 billion in debt without Norman Vincent Peale. And so, yes, that's going to help you. If you sit there and you say everything's going to be fine, nothing bad can happen to me. I have the power of positive thinking. Of course you're going to be fine. But psychologists say like that'll just, psychologists say it's bad for you because like it's setting you up for failure. But at the same time, if you're the type of person that if it fails, you just fucking put it out of your mind and just keep thinking like that and keep going happy, then you're happy. I mean, there's plenty of people that are into the power of positive thinking and bad things happen to them and they just keep going with their positive thinking and the next time it's going to work. And, even if, it's just, yeah, you're going to be happier if you do those kinds of things.
It doesn't sound like you quite approve of positive thinking. Why not?
No, I don't, because it's not realistic and it's not what's really going to happen.
Well, it's worked for Trump so far.
Yes, it did, but I just can't bring myself to believe that God loves me, I'm a child of God, or that everything's going to be fine and that I can control this reality with my positive thinking.
So, are you saying you're fundamentally a pessimist?
I am very pessimistic. Yes, I am very pessimistic. Not all the times, not with everything. I'm not
So,
pessimistic.
please finish.
I'm not pessimistic with everything.
Okay. I imagine someone pessimistic would say, well, I being pessimistic keeps you safer because you won't be so disappointed when things don't turn out as you hoped. You wouldn't be so devastated and destroyed by things
Yeah,
not
but those
turning out
people
as you hoped.
aren't. Those people aren't. Look, I mean, you would think that the type of person who said, this might not work out, and then when it doesn't work out, they're better off for it. But the person who's like, oh, everything's going to be fine, and then when it doesn't turn out fine, just like totally disregards that and says everything's going to be fine, then that person's going to be happier. People who disregard reality a lot are much happier. If you just disregard, what you've seen and what you've heard, and you know what I mean? Like,
So people on psychotropic drugs are drugs that control your mood, are they not? Would you agree
yeah.
with that? Right. So, I mean, the thing is, we can either think to ourselves that life is worth living or not worth living, and both positions would be true in a way.
Well, my position is that it could be. It's not worth living now, but it could be.
Yeah. So you hang on to see if it might get better. And quite often it does get better, and you have fun again, and you laugh, and you have a good time. But anyway, obviously it helps if you believe in a book that tells you not to kill yourself. And maybe just knowing that God says don't do it would make you less likely to kill yourself.
Yes, of course. Yes, if God tells you not to do it. There's plenty of religious people that want to kill themselves, but they don't do it because they're scared.
Yeah, because they don't want St. Peter to slam the gate in their face and say you can't come in.
Yeah, they're scared to do it. You know what I mean? Then, yeah, of course it's going to prevent you. That's why people are like, oh, atheist people commit suicide. Blah blah blah. Well, if you don't have any fear tactic to keep you here, and you also don't have the comfort zone that God is like taking care of you, or that it all makes sense, and that it all has a point, and that there's cosmic justice and all this other kind of stuff. Yeah, if you don't believe in that, you are more likely to kill yourself. Yeah.
So if you think of the government kind of breeding us, because it becomes in a way obvious what the situation is, that um, in the West, the government is being polite and treating us as citizens and blah blah. When in the olden days, they just treated they. The absolute monarch would treat everyone else as slaves and take their stuff and kill them for no good reason, etc. So basically, if we're being realistic about our position in the world, we are, in fact, the slaves of our government. I mean, they're just being nice, but anytime they take a dislike to us, they could just kill us and take our stuff, trash our reputation, kick us out,
Oh,
drone us.
they're talking about us in the cube. They want to come on.
What fun. Do you want them to come on? Or are we having a good enough conversation?
Well, I put in the streaming link yard and
Well,
tarnished.
it's your stream anyway.
Yeah, we'll say. Let's hope that they don't turn it into a shit show. But um um
So so what? Okay, my position is simply this. Um, whether we like the position or not, we just have to accept it. We're just born in our countries, or we went and settled somewhere else. It's just not that good. It's not going to be that easy to just move countries, kind of thing. And we kind of have to accept our lot. But if we realize that God's laws gives us more rights than than the laws of our own government, then it would be logical to prefer God's laws, wouldn't you say? I mean, okay. Let's assume, okay, we are the slaves of our government in practice, and if God exists, we are the slaves of God. And if we should one day discover that the laws of God actually give us more freedom than the laws of our own government, we should, if we were being logical, we would prefer the laws of God. And therefore, if we were to decide that we want the laws of God, then we would have to invoke God's assistance. And that means, well, we have to acknowledge its existence, and maybe we can start by talking about it, and then eventually bring ourselves to address God directly, which is what invocation means. And then things might happen.
whoever's in the backstage, XOXOXOXO, it's not letting me it's not letting me let you in. There's something wrong. I can't let you in. I don't know. Go out and come back in. Who's in the private chat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this person's saying abolish women rights. They're in the back chat. Come at me, feminist scum. I can take you.
He's gone
Well,
now, isn't he?
Yeah,
You
I
still
can't.
there?
Um, I don't know. I got some books on Vedanta here that I have to get, and Patty Irishman. I would like. Does Patty Irishman come on, or is he just a chat person, or does he come on the show?
Well, I hope he comes on. I'd love to hear his voice.
Patty Irishman, I'd like you to come on and talk about Dwaita Vedanta because one of my things is to pit Dwaita Vedanta versus Advaita Vedanta. You know, in order to get them fighting each other, in order to show that the whole system is not true and that reality is not an illusion, and let's get people out of this. I am taking some inspiration from this Ludendorff woman. She is doing something for me so far, and I've barely started her work.
Hmm.
Um, for someone who all the gods of the world say that you're going to hell, it is comforting a little bit to think that nothing's going to happen to me when I die.
No, it just means never, well, never doing anything again, never thinking, never being. Well, is there anything you enjoy about life that you
I
would miss if you were dead?
love my birds. My birds are cute.
Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few things that, people, oh, I like eating, I like watching TV, I like reading, I like playing music.
I like sex, but I can't get it. But um, no, I mean, I do. I mean, yeah, sometimes you want immortality and all that other kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't want to be burning in hell forever either, Claire. Like, what's more comfortable? Like, you're going nowhere or you're going to hell.
Well, okay, this is my conception of the afterlife. So the Quran definitely says that there's going to be hell and heaven. And it occurs to me that, people might get bored even they get to heaven. I mean, I would like to think, heaven, yes, it's really nice, always nice food to eat, and beautiful men, young men and women to bring it to you, and you always not wearing nice clothes, nice furnishings, water features and gardens and stuff. And then you can meet anyone you like, which I think would be, the great thing. I mean, I assume that, that there's going to be, every opportunity. You just think of the person you want to talk to him, and then you go and talk to him, and he could be, I don't know, Confucius or Hitler or whoever. I don't know. I mean, basically, heaven is what you want it to be. Every one of us. And we might both have, but somehow it is possible to get the kind of heaven we like. Or if it's, just what the Quran says, and eventually people will get bored and then they'll say, and I guess they'll just apply to God and say, I'm bored, what shall I do? I can't stand it anymore. And then and I guess God will say, well, if you really want to go back down, there is that option. You can be reincarnated. And so that is also dealt with post-life, post-mortem boredom is also dealt with. And then you get reincarnated because the Orthodox Jews, as well as Buddhists and Hindus, also believe in reincarnation. So if you really get bored, you get reincarnated. So that's sorted. But I think the punishment for Jews is going to be the most interesting narrative that will, hopefully make them think about things in a different way. Because of what the Torah says and because of what they're supposed to believe, that the Torah is a word of God, they can't just, hand wave the whole thing away and say, it doesn't matter about the 36 capital offenses. God didn't mean it. It's like, but he did. He wrote it down. When did he say, I was only kidding, Jews? He didn't say that. So basically, the 36 capital offences still stand. And it must mean that if you as a Jew die without uh, you know, die without being punished for them, if you have indeed been guilty of them, then all these death penalties await you in the afterlife. And that means, I mean, you could have as many, well, you could have as many as 36 awaiting you, and maybe even more if you've done them more than once. And you might think, oh, that's an awful lot of death penalties waiting for me after I'm dead. Maybe I'd like to get out of them by converting to Islam, where the regime is rather uh, less draconian. So if so Jews are going to say, oh, but the Quran is all rubbish and it's not from God, and then we can accuse them of provoking anti-Semitism on themselves because if they're saying God didn't reveal the Quran for Gentiles, then it means that Gentiles start to think that they're not worthy of their own revelation and be offended by God, not thinking of them as being worthy of their own revelation. And anyway, there's nothing in the Torah. There's nothing in the Torah that says God would not make a second and final revelation for Gentiles.
Well, there was no need for it because they already had the Noahide laws before that revelation came out. So, and it was what you gave the Jews. So, if the Talmud was finished 400 years after Jesus, that means there was about 200 years, and there were Noahides spreading at the time. There were Noahides in Rome, so it was spreading at the time. But then they just said, "Well, enough. We're not doing that." We want a lesser. Well, they wanted something less strict than that.
Well, the thing is, no Gentiles, if they were to accept the Noahide laws, would have to rely on Jews to interpret it for them, and Jews lack the moral and intellectual authority to do it for them because half of them are heretics and
No,
they
no,
don't
no, no.
even want to live as Jews.
No, we are supposed to know the Noahide laws, whether the Jews teach us or not. So even if there were no Jews, even if every Jew got killed on earth, we would still be mandated to adhere to the Noahide laws ourselves. So that would be self-interpretation.
Where does it say that?
It's mandatory for us whether the Jews teach it to us or not. It's obligatory upon us.
Yeah, but how would we? How is it mandatory if most Gentiles don't even know about it?
Well, that's the fucked up part. Yeah, you're
And the
supposed to.
thing is, why don't they know about it? Because the Jews haven't been
Yes,
teaching
but
them.
they're
So
growing and
they're
growing.
completely unreliable, and Gentiles are expected to rely on these really unreliable people.
They're not that
I mean,
unreliable.
well, they are. I mean, God
Well,
is
how,
just
Claire? What don't you think that people might trust Jews more to administer their society than Muslims? I mean, Hindus are so fucked up that they want Jews to control their national defense. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot believe I scream at them. They wanted Jews to be in control of all their bombs and rockets and guns and military equipment, and wanted to outsource national defense and national security, and they wanted the Jews to take over everything. And I think people, there are certain people that might be like, well, the Jews are just so much smarter. Why don't we just let them administrate everything instead of letting Muslims come in here and, change the culture?
well, okay. They are a bit stupid, but okay. But for Gentiles, it's like, well, we don't need to rely on Jews at all. We've got our own revelation. We can interpret it ourselves.
But there was just no need for it. That's just for people that want to water down the Noahide laws. It's just, It's for
Yes, they don't want to be. Can you blame Gentiles for not wanting to be executed for idolatry and
people that
blasphemy?
already does happen under Islam anyway, and it's happened throughout. It happened anyway under Islam, and
What happened under Islam?
idolaters were slaughtered, especially in the beginning
Well,
when they.
actually, they're not. I mean, okay, then these Muslims were exceeding their powers because there's nothing in the Quran that tells Muslims to execute idolaters
Okay,
because
well,
they're
it's still
idolaters.
it degrades them to the point that people get the wrong idea. I mean, if you're degrading people to the point that people are getting the wrong idea and murdering them, then you've done something wrong. Then it's not a good text. Okay, it's like if you degrade women to the point that people are murdering them, then okay, don't spread that much hatred for them. You know what I mean? But the point is that this is just for people that wanted to allow idolatry. It's just for people that didn't want to fight. They don't want to fight. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. They want to be more lackadaisical, and it's just the Jews produce something for you, and you said no, it's too difficult. You said no, it's too difficult. I'm not up for that task. I mean, they watered down Judaism as much as they could for you, and it still wasn't watered down enough for you.
Yeah,
And
because they don't want to be executed for idolatry and blasphemy, and who can blame
doesn't
them? And
who doesn't
anyway,
say
there is the Quran, which doesn't impose these penalties and is supposed to be from God. So that overrides the no-hide laws in the Talmud,
okay,
which
but
is written
seven out
only
of
by mortal
seven out of
infallible rabbis.
7 out of 8 people don't believe that the Quran is, or seven, six, one out of, okay, 6 out of 7 people, or 7 out of 8 people don't believe the Quran is is the word of God, and they're dead set against that. And those same people, you always say, oh, the only people that would accept Noahide law are Islamophobic dimwits. But okay, first of all, some people might like the Noahide laws because it actually does have principles and gets rid of idolatry and doesn't pretend that it's some kind of tolerable sin. Some people might want the hardcore version of it. And also, yeah, maybe they are scared of Islam. Maybe they don't like Islam for 100 different reasons. And maybe they say that it would just be better to do this. And so, what if they're scared of Islam? They might have a legitimate reason to not like it. Maybe they just don't. Maybe they don't want a disproportionate amount of dark people, in their religion. Maybe they would like, there's white Noahidism and all these different.
But
Maybe they
Vincent,
don't.
you don't even have to be majority Muslim to adopt secular Quranism, which is why I'm saying that the Chinese can adopt it. Secular Quranism with Chinese characteristics, Israelis can adopt it. It doesn't have to be a Muslim majority country. I mean that's what I've been trying to say about
Well,
secular Quranism, and you
yeah,
still
but
don't
people are
understand.
scared that'll lead into Islam.
No,
XOXO.
the whole point of secular Quranism is for Western man to control the interpretation. I mean,
Yeah,
why
but
can't you see that? You do see that.
okay, but we've already talked. All I would have to do: no usury, prostitution, slavery, no fault divorce, 20% income tax. Um, that's it. Like,
Oh
I
no, that's
one
it.
part.
He waves it away with his hand. I think a lot of people are going to be upset by this little list.
Yeah, but a one party theocracy. So that's what we're interpreting. That's what we have, about 6 principles to interpret. How many interpretations are there of no usury, slavery, prostitution? There's whipping unwed mothers. There's only so much room in these interpretations, and you say, well, it has to be a one party state, and you have to legalize slavery, and you have to legalize prostitution.
Yes. So in theory, all these things are possible, but I'm sure it will. Okay, are you saying you don't want to say these things? But then you've said even more extreme things than my proposal. So I don't think it should be a problem for you because you actually promote incest and you know
Yeah,
other
well,
other extremist
that's
things.
not slavery.
Well, It's only to replace a welfare state, which is tremendously dysgenic. I mean, that's why I mean, slavery was the ancient form of the welfare state, the ancient form of workfare. And you know, if only the British and the Americans will just say we shouldn't have abolished slavery. It was all a terrible mistake because now our welfare state is eating us alive from inside us. I mean, if they would admit that mistake, it would be revolutionary. And then they'll admit all the other mistakes and then correct themselves. And you would be the means. Well, you would be the catalyst. Well, there's nobody else. Nobody else with your energy and determination and conviction and your energy, Vincent.
XOXO can't get on. I don't know what's wrong with his browser. He won't go into StreamYard. If you're going with your phone, I don't. It says go into StreamYard and enable StreamYard. I don't know how to do that. XOXOXOXO. I think he's Hindu, and I think he has some negative things to say. But I know I'm gonna have to try to get some. You know, Hindus are fucking just so mealy mouthed and cowardly, and like I don't expect to get. I mean, Khalid was raised in the West. Not Khalid. Who's the other Hindu we talked to? Ulrich.
Oh yes, nourish.
Nareesh.
Yes.
Nareesh was raised in the West and is a little bit different. You know, a lot more of these Hindus are so passive and they don't even really know their ideology and they get like hot headed and angry. And like, I don't expect them to like come on here and start giving me lessons in Vedanta so that I could pull it apart. I think they would be more like, I don't know. I have to get these fucking books on Vedanta. I'm so angry
Why? Well, why do you even need to learn about them?
because I have to disprove them and discredit them and make them look like shit.
But nobody takes them seriously
People
anyway.
take Vedanta very seriously. Vedanta is very popular. Are you crazy? Even Vedanta is not just done by Hindus. It's done by a lot of people steal Vedanta. You know, a lot of people steal it and use it. They don't call themselves Hindus, but they call themselves Vedantists. Plenty of people who don't call themselves Hindus who are Vedantists.
Is this food and this is medicine, right? When you're talking about Vedanta.
No, Vedanta is philosophy. That's Ayurveda. The philosophy, the Hindu philosophy is Vedanta, and many people accept that. Many people, that's
Okay, I mean, can you tell me one really smart, wise thing from Vedanta?
no, I can't, but that doesn't mean that it needs to. I need to disprove it and make it look like shit because people are falling for it. And that's also, Claire, you have to put in, like Jehovah's Witnesses have a whole book on defeating other religions, and they have, entire like lessons on how to speak to Hindus and how to speak to these people and Jews and that person. And they discredit everything. You have to undermine other people. You can't just.
I think um, the Ahmadiyas have the same thing because Khalid always goes on about Buddhists and how what a terrible religion it is, and I think he has the same system as he would have literature about how Islam is superior to all the other religions in the same way that Jehovah's Witnesses would have too. I think because they're quite organized. These Ahmadiyas. But the point is that these are not from God. I mean, it's only the Torah and the Quran, that is supposed to come from the Abrahamic God. All the Vedanta and the other stuff is, well, I mean, nobody knows who wrote it, and nobody claimed God wrote it.
Well, that wouldn't matter if it was useful. I mean, it wouldn't matter if it was like this like great philosophical treatise. treatise or treatise that, you know, that would be
Yeah,
different.
but it's all kind of, airy fairy philosophy and that sort of thing. I mean, that none of that has this power of this is God speaking, and I say,
No, but
you
not
know,
everyone. You need that, Claire. Not everyone needs that. I don't need that. I don't. You need that.
Ten Commandments, seven no laws. People need lists of things that they can easily remember and repeat.
Stupid
That's all.
people. Yes. Look. I mean, yes. Stupid people need that. That's why. Like, yes, they need something easy that they can repeat, like sheep, that's easy to follow, that's not complicated. Most people, Vedanta, even though Vedanta I think is a lot of nonsense, like you have to be very intellectual to even understand these terms and to even think like that, even though it's fake, or not all of it's fake. But like whatever parts of it are real is very difficult to understand, and it takes a very long time to even know what these people are talking about. And no, that's not made for less intelligent people. That no, that's not a, that is not because people are so unintelligent. Unless you raise the intelligence of the population, then something like Vedanta is not going to ever really take over in the general population. It's taken on by thought leaders and stuff, but not like
Oh, pretentious people, it sounds like.
maybe a little like maybe a little wait, hold on. I just want to see this thing because I was always told, hold on.
Yeah, I think you're
People
probably
in cults have higher IQ. I think people in cults are known to have higher IQ. And I
well, not
think,
all of them. I have to step away for a minute.
ooh, are you there, Claire? I was just looking at this nine type of people who join cults, and one of them is people those who have schizotypal thinking. Schizotypal thinkers walk along the edge of schizophrenia without actually having the delusions or disconnections from society that's associated with the disorder. Dr. Neo says they do, however, have odd beliefs and behaviors that might fall into the realm of conspiracy type or alien type or supernatural type beliefs. And most cults propagate these strange ideas, doctrines, and beliefs which may align with some higher in schizotype, she says, which is why Jehovah's Witnesses have four times the amount of schizophrenia as other people. Rune Skeitsing, I think, is a Hindu who lives in Sweden, if I'm correct. I forget, but I am not an expert on anything Hindu because I was a Hindu for 10 years and didn't learn real Hinduism. I read on my own and I just came to my own conclusions, which no guru would have. Yeah, Patty Irish says evangelical Christianity is growing because it's simple to understand, bullet point, materialistic. Vedanta is too complicated and it might be useless. I have to try to like prove that Vedanta is just a scam, which is the point of this new blog. And I mix in like criticism of Christian Science because the gurus opened it up by saying that they're similar. And how are they similar? How are they different? How can you use one to defeat the other? Rune Skit saying wants to go on a yoga retreat with me. So yeah, go take a look at my new blog, christiansciencehinduism.blogspot.com. I only have two things up, but it's gonna grow. It's gonna grow.
Hi, Vincent. I'm back.
Hi.
So, I do you want to fill me in on what you've been saying?
Um no, I wasn't really saying anything. Um
Okay.
I wasn't really saying anything. But
Paddy says it's Vedanta is too complicated.
yeah, Vedanta is too complicated. I mean, yes, but I also I wouldn't mind if it was too complicated if it was true. I don't mind, but if it's not true, then what's the point? But the thing is that that very complicated type of reasoning might make you intelligent, which I think has to do with the fact that Hindus have such high education rates in America. They have the highest education rates. They have very high IQs. I think it's because they do sit around and think about this nonsense, and it's very sophisticated nonsense.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, you want it to be simple. You want it to be simple so as many people as possible can understand it. There's nothing to be gained by, being highfalutin.
Well, I think maybe you need two religions, one for the common people and one for the or a religion that has both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so what the Jews have is they have the Torah and they also have the Talmud, and if you really advance, you go on to the Zohar, which is a Kabbalah.
Hmm.
So I mean that's it. I mean, it's like, oh, we'll just read between the lines and um yeah, just one moment. I have to step away again.
So XO that's trying to get in as a Hindu, or was born Hindu and is now atheist. I don't know. When Claire comes back, I might be done. This might be all that we're going to do today because I'm going to do something and I'm running out of material since I do only have two posts up, but they are up. And
Yes, I'm back. So okay, I'm just saying you need things to be simple. People make such a terrible mistake when they say, oh, it's got to be really complicated. And if it's really complicated, then nobody ever gets it. And if you don't understand something, you won't act with the degree of confidence that you would if you truly understood it. It's like, oh, I'm just following orders. I don't know what this is supposed to do, but I have to do it. I'll do it, but I don't really understand. But if you think, I know what this thing that I'm doing is supposed to accomplish, then you'll do it with, more confidence and more focus you know, and actually, a lot of people don't know how to make complicated things understandable. In fact, a few people can't even explain their own ideas properly. I don't know if you have you heard of Kurt Doolittle?
Kurt Doolittle, yes.
Well, he's so autistic he can't even explain his own ideas properly. That he had to get somebody called John Mark to do it for him.
Yeah,
It
John,
was only
Mark John or whatever.
John Mark, I think, the guy with a
He had to
helmet.
do what for him? What did he have to get him to do for him?
Well, basically, John Mark summarized and explained his ideas better than he could have done it himself. And that was when his ideas began to take off, propertarianism and all that. But it was John Mark, really, who sold propertarianism or Kurt Doolittle.
He kind of fell off the face of the earth, right? Kurt Doolittle.
Yeah, I actually interviewed him, but he was so incoherent, you almost wish you hadn't bothered. Yeah, and apparently he had this encounter with some blacks, and apparently he got so scared he pissed himself. Apparently,
Yeah, and didn't he? What did he say? Didn't he say something like "you have bigger dicks than we have" or something like that?
yeah, it was so cringe.
Wait, I'm looking at Kurt Doolittle, black dick. You guys have bigger dicks. You're stronger. Oh, yeah. Okay, that was on. Yeah, he said you guys have bigger dicks and you're stronger. The brief.
I mean, that's just so stupid and pathetic. Is this all you women care about? The size of your dicks? I mean, come on.
Tama, are we gonna be ready?
Well, you are on that, right?
I am, but I was gonna hold on 1 second, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Claire, I'm gonna go. Well, there's 9 people watching. I'll stay on for another minute, but yeah, no. KurtDoolittle.com, let's say. Oh, KurtDoolittle.com is gone.
Yeah, I mean, he's really packed up everything, and he can't really argue, and he's not very good with words, and his system doesn't work even in theory because his idea was he was going to sue everyone who damaged the national interest, and he was going to put some nominal value on people who would have to pay damages for damaging the national interest. That was basically his idea. What do you think, Vincent, of this? What was so funny?
Good job.
My husband's just telling me something. But what do I think of what?
Of getting more viewers by titling streams in a different way, and maybe using the names of certain bigger YouTubers to get traction. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, I'd have to get them on my channel and stuff like that. And I don't watch these other people's channels enough to really comment on them because I get really just like disgusted. Anyway, Claire, I do have to go.
Okay.
All
Talk
right.
to you again
Yeah.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.